The Practice of Mentoring, episode number 7, Termination versus Mentoring. Hello, I'm Doug Lawrence, and welcome to the Practice of Mentoring. I am an international mentor and have my Certificate of Achievement Mentoring, my Certificate of Competence Mentor from the International Mentoring Community. I am currently working on my Certificate of Competence Journey Mentor, and that certification will help expand my practice to include mental health, mental well-being, and post-traumatic stress. Today, I wanted to share with you termination versus mentoring. So a bit of a background on where this comes from. So termination versus mentoring is a service that I offer to organizations that are looking at terminating an employee, but there's this small glimmer of hope that if they can engage somebody to work with this person, that they might very well be able to help that employee return to being a productive individual. Let me share a story with you. So one organization that I've done quite a bit of work with contacted me to come and spend some time with one of their employees. So typically I get a bit of an understanding, not too much, but a bit of an understanding of what the issues are. And then I engage with the organization to spend some time, and I'll talk about the process here in just a minute, but to spend some time with the employee to find out what's the root cause for the behavior and what do we need to do to rectify that and help that employee return to being that meaningful contributor to the organization. So in this particular case, this was an employee involved in providing technical support to a large client base, and complaints were being received that the individual didn't communicate very well, was actually rather abrupt and harsh, and seemed to not take their interests or their trouble to heart and want to be able to deal with that. So the organization had gone through a number of attempts from senior level people to, co-workers and that, trying to figure out what the root cause was and what did they need to do. They brought in a coach, and the coach spent time with, that individual, and to no avail. They were able to make the grounds that they needed to. And so long story short, they brought me in. And my typical approach is to spend 5 one-hour sessions with an employee. And in most cases, with a small exception of one, um, I will be able to initiate that behavior change within that five one-hour sessions. So that's kind of my process. And so I spend time with the employee one-on-one. And what we talk about is confidential. It stays between us. Um, and we kind of leave it at that. So in this particular case, some of the highlights, I guess, for lack of a better choice of words, is that I was able to determine that the individual didn't get proper time to decompress from the morning. So they were working through their lunch hour and into the afternoon, obviously, and they had no time to decompress, to get rid of that negative energy that they sometimes would get from providing technical support and, an unhappy client and all of that stuff. And so we needed to be able to work our way through that. So I got to understand that individual on a different level, and I was able to build a trusted relationship in a very short, compressed period of time. And that's doable to be able to do something like that. Part of the behavior change that we initiated was I got the employee to, when he got up in the morning, to look in the mirror and see, who they were as an individual. They needed to believe in themselves. And I got the individual, the employee, to see themselves as a teacher. So when they're trying to troubleshoot problems with people, engage the client in that troubleshooting process. So become a teacher rather than a technical support person who comes and just says, excuse me, get out of my way. I'll fix this, right there you go, we're all done, move on to the next one. And so we went from, and the words came right back to me at the end when we debriefed, But management saw this huge change in this employee from being an introvert to now being an extrovert. And they were more outgoing. And what they also did was, now that they were that teacher in doing the troubleshooting, they were starting to effectively communicate a lot better than what they did in the past. Yeah, and they became more caring about the services that they provided and the things that they did and how they communicated with the people that they were there to serve. So it was a huge step forward. And even to this day, to my knowledge, the employee has completely turned around, has become that productive individual, has become that good communicator. And it spun off not only from the workplace, but into their personal lives, where before they were struggling to communicate, they had that standoffish attitude, very cold, very impersonal, and that all changed. And so when we looked at the benefits of this type of service and what it was doing for the organization, was it helped them reduce their turnaround, or their number of employees that they ended up having to terminate. It also, people that were leaving the organization, so their turnover rates were less than what they were before. So huge benefit to the organization, because we also want to remember here that every time we have to rehire somebody or hire a new employee, that's typically 1.5 to 2 times the cost of their annual salary. And most organizations, even more so now with the pandemic, most of us can't afford that extra cost. So the small investment into that employee, number one, is going to help turn that employee around. It's going to demonstrate to the employee that you actually care, that you're not that cutthroat organization that's going to say, oh, you're not working out for us, we're going to pull the pin and away you go. But to actually spend the time to find out why you're behaving, or why your behavior is such that it is, to be able to do that. For you as the employee, um, it's certainly, you get a deeper sense, and I've heard this over and over again. Why are they doing this? I don't believe that they really care. And when we have the conversation, we're able to substantiate that yes, they do care about you. They're investing me coming in, having that conversation with you, and working our way through. What I also always try to do, not only to understand the behavior, but also I want to give them tools to be that much more effective, certainly in the communication space, because I find that that's where we have the biggest breakdown between employees and management, is in communicating. And if we just invested in helping those employees get those more effective communication skills, stuff that we use in the mentoring space all the time, we were just able to share some of that wisdom and knowledge, that we would have better employees, better organization, better communication with those that we serve, better communication with our clients. So it's really important to think about this termination versus mentoring. The next time you have an employee that's on the ropes and you're thinking of punting them out the door, think about that termination versus mentoring. And maybe you try it once, and if it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. But I want you to consider that as a means to save on that turnover rate in your organization. So what I want you to do is consider all of those things that we've talked about. And if you have some questions and you're not sure and you want more information on what this is all about, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me via my website at www.talentc, the word talent with the letter C on the end, .ca. Or you can also reach me directly through email at doug.lawrence, and that's LAWRENCE, at talentc, so the word talent and the letter C on the end, .ca. So both of those contact mediums will be contained in the show more notes that'll follow at the end of this video. I'd also like to ask a small favor of you, if you don't mind, is that after you're done listening to this, I get excited and have more to tell you. So bear with me. But at the end of this, if you could like, subscribe, comment, and/or share this video for me, I would greatly appreciate that. The more people that we can get our message out to about this particular service, the greater the chance that we're going to create that strong environment that we all strive for. And with that, make every moment a mentoring moment, and we'll see you next time. Take care.